everybody. I'm Vicki. I'm the author of Runaway Husbands and the editor of Planet Heartbreak. Um, and we have some really interesting and thought-provoking questions tonight that I'm looking forward to addressing. So our first question comes from Allison. And she says, what about if your husband has mental health issues? Mine had a breakdown last year in March, and he's on the verge of losing his mind again. He walked out on me 8 weeks ago. He really struggles and won't go and get help. Only this week he agreed that I could contact his doctor and his mental health team to make appointments for him because he's incapable of doing it himself. He's lost all coping strategies and all tolerance. So, it's a very specific question. It doesn't relate to a lot of people, but I think it does relate to some people. And the thing that's interesting about the question is that Allison is in this complex situation. On the one hand, he walked out on her 8 weeks ago, 2 months ago, a long time. On the other hand, he's suffering, and he's not well, and he has mental health problems. And I don't know how long they were married, but she's used to being in the role of trying to help him. And she did that for him perhaps last year in March. That's a whole year ago. She knows what he needs. And so I think that sometimes it's confusing. Why is he leaving? Is it because he's not well? Is it because he's not functioning well? And so I think, Allison, what you need to do is you need to sort of see this through for a period of time to see whether his leaving is genuine, that he truly wants to end the marriage, or whether he's just in a really severe emotional crisis and that's what's contributing to his decision, to not be at home, because he's not well and he's not thinking clearly. So it's great that you got in touch with his doctors and you're going to get him the help that he needs. And I think you have to just live it through for a period of time to see what the outcome is going to be of this mental health crisis that your husband is going through. Okay, so the next question on a very different note comes from Caroline, who says, why does the runaway husband get a pass from everyone for his ability to just discard his family? The court okays it, family, friends all take the man's side. Yet the wife is left told to be strong, to redefine herself, keep the children from falling apart. It's endless. There's no shame, no accountability, and no fallout for the men that do this. What the heck? She writes. So you're 100% right. There is no accountability. There is nothing legal that can force him to behave better. And there, eventually there is no closure. And however, I would question the idea that the friends and the family and the community give him a free pass, because maybe that's what's happening with you, but it doesn't happen with everybody. And there are lots of times where friends, family, and community look at the way the man behaved and they really think it's awful. And he doesn't get a free pass. And people get on his case and try to get him to behave better. So, I think in the larger picture, the fact is that the court system can't force him to behave properly with you. And maybe friends and family can't force him to treat you with respect and be kind. That's beyond legal ability. But I think that perhaps, the idea of karma or, what he has done will stick to him. I'm swallowing. And he knows what he's done. And even if the community and friends, in your case, are taking his side, in your heart of hearts, you know what he's done, and in his heart of hearts, so does he. So yes, you have to be strong, you have to protect the children. It is unfair, it is unjust, and I totally get it. And that's terribly frustrating. And there isn't any justice with regard to the way, you know, most men leave in the runaway husband scenario. But what you have to do is you do have to be strong, and you do have to take care of yourself and rebuild your life just because you don't have any other choice. So Isabelle writes, by not telling the kids the extent of the damage caused by the runaway husband in order to, quote, protect their relationship with their father, aren't we perpetuating the idea that what the runaway husband did was okay? Shouldn't the children be made aware of the consequences for us, the discarded wives, of the betrayal in order to teach children that discarding a spouse in such a way is not acceptable? Now, a lot of people have asked me this question, and they feel that it's their duty to tell their children what their husband has done, you know, even to the extent of telling them, you know, that there's been an affair and he's had a girlfriend for a long time and that's wrong and all of that stuff. But here we're balancing two different needs. One is the need for your child to learn this lesson that behaving in this way is bad and they shouldn't behave that way. And the other is the need to let your child have two parents. And in my book, for younger children, I mean, this is different when the children are 20, but for younger children, you can delay the lesson that what he did was wrong until they're older. Because I think that the need for a child to be able and to be free to love their father and love their mother, even if the father behaved badly towards the mother, I think that that is a gift that you need to give to your children. If the father is willing to be involved and, you know, and wants to be part of his children's lives, I really do think that that is more important than this lesson that the kids don't need to learn when they're 9 years old. They're not getting married tomorrow anyhow. And later on, when they're late teens or early 20s, then you can sort of talk it through with them, and that's the appropriate time to have a discussion about, you know, the way your dad left really wasn't okay. And because, you know, just as I said, you know, that kids need a mother, but they also need a father. And if he's going to be a loving father to your children, you don't want to perturb that relationship. You might not agree with me, but I feel strongly about that. So that's us for tonight. Thanks so much for the questions, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week.